We all love going on vacation to exotic getaways far, far away. Although many of the places you want to get away to have much natural scenic beauty, there are quite a few things that might make your trip into a living nightmare. From deadly reptiles lurking on the beach to pickpockets taking everything you got, here are 11 dangerous things that can ruin your vacation. Number 11. Pickpockets. Some of the most beautiful beaches around the world attract millions of tourists each year, but they also attract pickpockets. Crime at places such as Copacabana Beach seems to be getting out of control right now. Many tourists complain about going into the water for a swim and coming back with all their belongings, especially their cell phones, missing. Some criminals can actually make a living out of it. Some of the top pickpocketing tourist destinations include Barcelona, Prague, Paris, and Rome. While you're getting focused on getting likes on Instagram, pickpockets could be lurking right behind you, snatching all your money, passport, etc. Large crowds of people, all distracted by something beautiful, seems to be the perfect time for pickpockets to strike. Keep your wallet in your front pocket and keep a close eye on your belongings when you're entering big crowds of people. These people here all look like easy targets. Number 10. Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are one of the creatures that have wreaked the most havoc upon humans and have spread horrifying diseases. One of the more recent ones is from the Zika virus. Outbreaks were confirmed in Papua New Guinea in April, but has spread around the world in places like Peru, St. Lucia, Chile, and Vietnam. A resident of Dallas, Texas, traveled to Venezuela for a week and returned with the virus. The person began to develop symptoms consistent with the Zika virus, such as conjunctivitis, rashes, fever, and malaise. The Zika virus is spread to people when they are bit by an infective Aedes mosquito in tropical regions. It's still a huge risk almost everywhere in South America, Western Africa, all of India, and all of Southeast Asia. So keep that in mind before you book your ticket to Thailand. There are even some cases in Texas and in Florida as well. Mosquitoes are also capable of spreading the West Nile virus, which has affected countries like Greece, Israel, Romania, and Russia in recent cases. Number 9. Street food. In order to explore a new culture, one must try their authentic food. Street vendors are making money selling to tourists and locals alike, but they will certainly target tourists and sometimes try to charge higher prices. Street vending has become an important public health issue, not only in America, but across the world. According to the National Center of Biotechnology Information, street vendors have a higher chance of serving raw materials and using contaminated utensils for cooking. This has led to safety issues and people getting infected with listeria, salmonella, and other diseases. Much of this is from general lack of knowledge about how diseases can spread from food. Street vended food has a higher chance of sitting around longer until someone buys it, which can attract flies and other pests who might lay their eggs on them. People from different countries might have immunities to some of these strange foods, but you probably don't. Reimagine that these scorpions will probably give you a stomachache. A woman named Dawn Becerra was vacationing in Mexico and she began feeling sick after eating a pork taco. She went to a medical center in Arizona where the doctors told her they needed to cut open her brain and remove worms, which was a direct result from the pork taco. Number 8. Jellyfish and sea lice. Normally, when we go on vacation, we choose places with big, blue, beautiful beaches, and of course, the photos look nice. But in real life, there's a good possibility that there's jellyfish lurking around in there. Many people just can't wait to get in the water, but after they get a painful jellyfish sting, they might think twice about getting in there again. Many of you have probably came across a few while swimming through the oceans, and it was enough for you to get the heck out. That's basically because these things are downright creepy, and they can get pretty large. The Nomura's jellyfish can reach sizes of up to 6 feet in length, and this species has been around for at least 500 million years. Ones that sting carry a toxin known as nematocysts, which induce pain and a rash. The toxins can attack the heart, the nervous system, and your skin cells. With the ocean's temperature rising, it's created massive amounts of jellyfish, especially in places like the Sea of Japan and the Mediterranean Sea. Little baby jellyfish are also known as sea lice, and they can certainly ruin your vacation too. Number 7. Watch out for riptides. Going to the beach is certainly a fun activity, but it can also be a lot less fun when you're getting dragged away from the shore by being caught in a riptide. More than 100 Americans die each year from drowning in riptides. Professionals prefer the word rip current since it has nothing to do with the tide. But it can be an RIP current if you don't watch out. It's basically a narrow channel of water that flows outwards towards the sea, and it might take you a while to realize that you're actually in one. There have been a few recent cases of this happening to people on vacation at the Emerald Isle in North Carolina. There were 4 people who got swept away for good within a 10-day period. Swimming against a riptide is certainly a challenge, and the best thing you can do is not swim against it. You will become completely exhausted. Swim parallel to the shore until you notice the current calm down a little bit, or just scream for help and hope someone hears you. Number 6. Water. Living in a first world country, we take access to water for granted and don't always think about there being some kind of pathogen in it because we don't really need to. For other countries around the world, it's not exactly the same. Take Mexico, for example. It's one of the most visited countries by Americans due to its close proximity, but it's also ranked as being one of the top 10 countries with the worst water supply. The tap water is basically undrinkable, and the country is a world leader in consumption of bottled water. Other exotic destinations such as Nepal don't have the proper facilities to treat water, and many freshwater lakes are contaminated with fecal matter. Cambodia is home to Angkor Wat, and at least 5% of the population relies on water deliveries. Tap water from many places in Asia must be treated with purification tablets, or you could become violently ill, and that would certainly ruin your vacation. You might also want to think twice about the ice that's being used, since most of the time it's made from tap water. Most places in Europe, it's not considered to be a problem, so don't worry about it too much there. Number 5. Sunburns. Whether you're snowboarding in the Alps or exploring tropical rainforests, severe sunburns can be a serious issue. Painful sunburns might not necessarily kill you, but they can definitely be uncomfortable to the point where it ruins your vacation. Sunburns can be sneaky even when it's cloudy or when the weather is cold. People on vacation spend extended hours outside, much more than they're used to. For some, it's probably the most sun their pale bodies have ever come across all year. Places like Las Vegas have a high UV index year-round, but the closer you are to the Earth's equator, the more likely you will receive a blistering sunburn. Sunburns can be even worse if you go into the mountains because the sun's UV waves are more intense at higher altitudes. At elevations of 6,000 to 8,000 feet, you're exposed to 10% more ultraviolet radiation than you would on sea level. Hikers at Yellowstone Park, which has an altitude of 8,000 feet, have been known to be surprised by their blistering sunburns. So don't feel weird about putting on sunscreen next time you're skiing. Number 4. Overspending. When you're traveling, it can become easy to go way over your budget. All those Mai Tais, room service, shows, gambling can certainly add up quicker than you would think. The last thing you want to do is go over your budget, get your credit card declined, and end up having to sleep on the streets until your flight arrives. Not having extra money could lead to you not having the cash to pay for something in case of an emergency. The last thing you want to do is end up working in a Thai brothel in order to pay for the hotel room you're staying at. Don't take that chance. That could certainly ruin your vacation. Be honest with your traveling partner when you feel as though they're going overboard, and keep your friend from entering a downward spending spiral. Overspending is dangerous, and it definitely won't be fun when you're coming back home completely broke. Number 3. Heat exhaustion. You and your friends will certainly enjoy the pool parties, memorable hikes, and concerts, but it's a lot less fun if you avoid heat exhaustion. Many people don't always realize that the sun can be a silent killer, especially if you didn't properly prepare. Each year, just in the US, 675 people die from heat-related complications. One common reason for this is heat strokes when the body can reach temperatures of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Symptoms of a heat stroke may include a massive headache, racing heart rate, blurred vision, and confusion. Many tourists are unaware of how hot and dry some places in the US can be and underestimate the power of the sun. 2 tourists, one from Germany and one from the Netherlands, visiting Joshua Tree, suffered from fatal heat strokes in August when their car broke down on an unpaved highway. Europeans don't have any experience hiking through desert terrain, and it's unlikely they didn't properly prepare supplies. All it can take is one simple mistake in the desert, such as not packing enough water, and your vacation can be over permanently. Number 2. Snakes. Mother Nature is really nothing you want to underestimate, and animals can ruin your vacation just about any time they like. You might think you're coming to a secluded beach somewhere in Southeast Asia or South America, but you might have some unwanted reptilian slithering around your beach towel. We've seen from the movies, Snakes and Planes, how snakes can become airborne as well. Venomous snakes are quite common in subtropical countries, which can certainly put a damper on your plans. Most of the time, these snakes will only attack in self-defense. If you ever plan a trip to India, you better plan on bringing some anti-venom with you, because there's an average of 15,000 lethal venomous snake bites each year. Maybe they should stop trying to charm them already. Indonesia, which is home to the famous getaway Bali, came in at number 2 with 11,000 lethal snake bites each year. Bali has 35 species of different snakes, including the king cobra, the spinning cobra, and their oceans contain the most lethal snake of all, the sea snake. They have extremely potent venom, and anti-venom won't work on these guys. And number 1, know the laws. If you stay in a country for a long period of time, you might forget that different countries have different laws that may seem unbelievable for us. Some Americans in Western countries who have committed what would be minor misdemeanors have received life in prison for things such as possession of controlled substances. Alcohol usage in places like Saudi Arabia is illegal and can be punishable by flogging. Indonesia has extremely harsh punishments for illegal substance possession, which can result into at least 12 years in prison, or maybe even life if you're unlucky. 3 Australian tourists were facing 50 years in prison for trafficking in Thailand. Other laws like showing any disrespect to imagery of royal families can result in getting arrested. Legal requirements might also demand that you carry your passport with you at all times. In Singapore, spitting out chewing gum on the floor can result to $10,000 in fines. South American prisons are also no joke, and it would really not be as cozy as your hotel room if you had to spend some time there. Do your best to stay out of trouble while you're overseas, or you could end up in a dangerous prison. Any suggestions on future videos? Let us know in the comments section, and maybe your video will be featured next.